just say red pen, whatever color you have. But that should already been out. You should not be going in your Trapper Keepers to find it. Just like your dry erase marker should be out, your Expo marker should be out, ready to go and ready to use. When I said get your supplies ready, that's what it means. Not leaving it in your Trapper Keeper so we're waiting and hearing everybody unzip their Trapper Keeper. All right, so we have first name, last name, right-hand corner. Several of you keep putting it on the left. I don't want it on the left. Period. We are in 8 and 9 already. And this is 7th grade, quarter 1, week 1. And you can find that on the top of the page right here. So Q1 and then the dot 1 means quarter 1, week 1. Today is Monday, so we're going to write Monday. Number 1, we're going to rewrite it. 8 plus 7 times quantity 4 squared minus 3. You guys all know PEMDAS. I say, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, because that's what I learned in 7th grade, and it stuck with me. Later on, I'm gonna show you a dance that goes with that. Yay. Or a chant that goes with that. So what we do first is what's in parentheses. And you start by doing whatever is squared first. So I need to do 4 squared, which is?
4.
Which is 4 times 4, which is?
16.
Excellent. So I'm gonna rewrite, and I'm bringing everything down that I didn't use. You're going to show line for line in 7th grade, because some of these are going to get a lot harder. Still do what's in parentheses again. So what's 16 minus 3? 13. That's in parentheses still, and you have a 7 in front of it. So I have 8 plus 7. What does it mean to have a number outside of the parentheses? Multiplication. I don't know 7 times 13. I don't know that in the top of my head, so I'm going to come over here. 13 times 7. 7 times 3 is 21. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 2 makes 9. And I got now 8 plus 91. I can do 8 plus 91 in my head, which is what?
99.
99. Put a box around your answer. Number 2, you're going to do directly on the paper. So I'm going to bring the paper over, and this is why I'm going to be just projecting it. It says plot the following points and find the area of the figure. So I've got to plot 4, 3, over 4, up 3, negative 2, 3. So I need to go left to the negative 2, up to the positive 3. Negative 2 and negative 1. So over to the negative 2, down to the negative 1. Over 4, it's a positive 4, so I go to the right, negative 1, so I go down to the negative 1. Now I'm going to do some work on my paper, so I'm just going to slide that down. I'm going to see my paper, and this is number 2, because this is the second part, is finding the area. Write down the formula. Area equals length times width. So now, how do I find the length and the width? I'm going to come back down here. I'm going to count the number of spaces from dot to dot. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the length is 6, so I'll put a 6 up here, times the width, and that means bottom dot to top dot. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now I can do that. What's 6 times 4? So rewrite, area equals 24. And you would normally have a unit and say it's squared, but because it's on this, we can just leave it as 24. Put a box around it. Number 3. It says, if point A is located at here, I'll put it under here. If point A is located at negative 9, 2 on a coordinate plane, and point B is located at negative 9, 10, what is the distance between the 2 points? For some of you, it might be easier to plot the 2 points on a graph and then do like what we did here and count your spaces. For the rest of us, we might think, okay, the negative 9s are the same, so I'm gonna cross off the negative 9s. So now I'm gonna just see the distance between the number 2 and the number 10. They're both positive numbers. So if I start at the number 2 and I count up to the number 10, how many spaces is that?
8.
So there's my answer, and I can write it right there. And that's like saying 10 minus 2 equals 8. If you can't write in that small space, where should you put your work?
On your paper.
On your lined paper. Now, number 4, many of you probably were able to solve if you can get to it, but I'm going to show you a way I want you to solve it. So I'm going to erase this number 3 because I end up putting it on my paper, and I'm going to make that just a number 4. So we have 96 inches equals how many feet? Well, if I'm going from inches to feet, I'm going from something small to something big, so I need to divide. How many inches are in a foot? So I would take 96 divided by 12, but this is how I want you to set it up. I want you to set it up as equivalent ratios. 96 inches equals how many feet? Okay? And I know that there are 12 inches in 1 foot. Notice it, inches to inches, feet to feet. So if some of you are great in math and you can say, well, 96 divided by what gives me 12? If you know your 12s, Colden? Not 7. What? 8. That's all right. So I divide it by 8. So if I'm going to go the opposite way, I'm going to times it by 8. So 8 would be my answer. But this is how I want you to see it. Okay? I want to see it as this. Thank you. 96 inches over x feet equals 12 inches per 1 foot. You're going to do what I showed you the other day, where you guys call toothbrush method, and I say no, it's going to be cross multiplication. Yeah. So then we have 96 times 1, so 96, and that's inches, equals 12x. So I want to get rid of the 12, get rid of the 12, and that's dividing. If I'm multiplying, I do the opposite. 96 divided by 12 is 8 equals x. And we know that that's feet. Yes?
I can't see it.
Then what should you do? Move. But remember, I'm going to be writing on this screen when it comes up. Number 5. This should have been easy peasy. So when you're getting started doing these spiral reviews, you need to, if I don't know a problem, skip it. Go on and do as many as you can, and then come back to the hard ones. So 5 says just to find the factors of 20. So I'm going to write the number 20, my 2 dots, and it's 1 and
20.
20. 2 and 10. No 3, but 4 and 5. Make sure I got a comma there. And that's it. I really don't even have to put a box around my answer. Nope, I forgot to put a box around number 4 though. We're also going to set it up the same way as an equivalent fraction or equivalent ratio. It says you drive your car for 3 hours at an average speed of 130 miles per hour. How far did you go? So if I'm driving 130, it's kilometers, sorry, I said miles, kilometers per 1 hour. How far? Kilometers is the distance, so how far is my x? Did I go in 3 hours? How do I get from 1 to 3?
Times.
Times 3. So what do I have to do to the top? times 3. So what's 130 times 3? I don't know. I'm going to come over here and do it. 3 times 0 is 0. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 1 is 3. So my answer is 390 kilometers. Seven and 8, we're getting into some negative numbers. Those are called integers in 7th grade. And you're going to learn to add, subtract, multiply, and divide integers. You did not do a whole lot of this in 6th grade. It's a new skill in 7th grade. You might have plotted like a negative number and a positive number, but you didn't add, subtract, multiply, or divide. So if I look here, what is the difference between the high and low temp in the thermometer? Well, the low temp is a -3. The highest temperature is 20. And it's asking me the difference. What does it mean to find the difference? Kaylin? Subtract. So you're going to take 20 minus the -3. Watch how I write this on my paper. You're writing it up and down. 20 minus a -3. Okay, because we're always going to write addition up and down. With the rule, bless you, with the rule of integers and subtracting integers, you change, you keep the first number, you change,
Side a little bit.
oh, thank you. You keep the first number, you change the subtraction to addition, and you change this sign. If this sign is negative, I change it to positive. If this sign was positive, I change it to negative. So now I just add. What's 20 plus 3? So that's the distance. And we're going to do a lot more in integers later. And like number 8 gives you one of those problems. It's a -2/5 plus 4/3. We are not ever going to keep it going across unless it's multiplication or division. So when I rewrite it on my paper, I'm going to rewrite it up and down. So I've got a -2/5 plus 4/3. So that's the first rule of thumb, writing it up and down. Let's say we get into these problems and you don't know what to do, at least you can write it up and down. Then with adding and subtracting fractions, you need to have a common denominator. So I've got a 5 and a 3. What should be my common denominator? 15. And so I ask myself how to get from 5 to 15? Times it by 3. So 2 needs to be multiplied by 3. So a -2 times 3 is a -6. Multiply 3 times 5, so I have to show 4 times 5. Notice I'm showing all that work. So 4 times 5 is 20. Now we've got a negative number and a positive number, but we're adding them. So the rule of adding integers is you just subtract, if one is negative and one is positive, you subtract the two numbers. So what's 20 minus 6? 14. And my denominator is going to stay the same. But then, what do we do about this negative number? You have to look, is this going to be negative or positive? The way you know which one it's going to be is you take the sign of the bigger number. And the bigger number is 20. And the sign, because there's no sign there, that means it's positive. So my final answer is 14/15. I know many of you, our heads are spinning on these and you have no clue what you're doing. That's okay. You're copying it down to help us later. Now you should